All right, here is the Sci-Figure Toys, I think, or it's TFC LUMITENT. I think it's CS-01. And Craft Series, I think, is the name of the line. And it is, like I said, LUMITENT. It is a mech, transforming jet mech based off of a manga called No Sky 2035. The packaging is really fantastic. It's a nice box. Just the box itself is quality, and it's got a Velcro flap cover that it's not a window box, but it has some of the manga or a manga comic about the figure in the front, and then you open it up and it's just packaged really nicely in styrofoam and then with the stand and everything. Here he is in jet mode with his landing gear down that can of course fold up. And he's a little smaller than I was expecting for the price, because I think American retailers mostly are I think it's $210, which is which I was expecting him to be more like 160 Macross sized, and he's not quite that big. But a very lovely jet. It is based off of, I believe, the J-20, an actual Chinese jet. I was reading somewhere that this is apparently officially licensed, so it's even got a accurate, more or less, vehicle mode. But again, just to get to the size, he's slightly larger. Here he is with Earthrise Ramjet. So slightly bigger than a Seeker Voyager in jet mode, although much heftier. There's some really solid plastic. You can see this piece right here is die cast, and the wheels are die cast. There's and the turbines back here. There's some good die cast content in the figure itself. Like, it's very sturdy and very solid, and it's very, very well made. It's a very sleek jet. You can see even with the landing gear down, not a lot of undercarriage. I'm saying it weird. A very cool shiny little jewel up here, but not a whole lot of undercarriage junk like a lot of jet formers tend to be. Like even just with the Ramjet here, you can see there's just a lot more clear robot bits hiding underneath here, and really there's nothing that there may be a little extra bulk here on the jet, but there's nothing that belies that it turns into a robot, aside from the panel lines where everything meets together. But there's no obvious robot mode bits here on the underside of the jet. Landing gear, this one just folds up right here. The back landing gear is a little bit more of a adventure to get in, because you have to lift this up and then lift this panel up on this hinge here, then lift this assembly up, fold it in, and you can see there's an empty little area there. Fold that back in and then close this panel back up. And same over here. Lift that up, fold it in. Just like that. And hope that fold it in. But there you can see a very nice streamlined underside. He does have a rifle for his mech mode. And you can store that in a couple different places. With the landing gear down, you can plug in right here on either wing. And I do kind of wish, like, I would have liked it if it came with two of them. It's just just feels a little asymmetrical if you just have it under one wing like that. But you can see there's a tab hole you can go on either side. And but you can also, when you're using the stand, it can tab in. There's a slot right here, a little curved bit. You can plug it in underneath, but obviously it would get in the way of this landing gear, and the landing gear is not deep enough to support it. You can only do that on the stand. And speaking of which, he does come with a nice stand, and it pegs in right here behind the rifle. You just there's a slot for it, and you can put him on this very nice angled stand, which works for both jet and robot mode. And what's cool about it is you can see right here it kind of has like a almost kind of Starfleet Delta on it, but it actually has, and I'm not entirely sure why they didn't just pack it, unless it's just a space thing, because it does give you the option of how much space on your shelf you want to put things around it. Or you know what? There's some connector pieces here. I wonder if maybe they'll have some connecting stands with future releases. But anyway, there's two other little pieces here that can rotate up and turn this Delta into a star. So it's entirely up to you. Personally, I think the star looks a little better, especially because if you don't have these pieces out, there are those little gaps there in the stand. But it's entirely up to you. But it comes packaged in the triangular shape, and then you can flip these out, which is neat. But with the stand, again, you can leave the rifle here on either side of the wings, or you can peg it in underneath the jet when using the stand. And one thing I will say for the jet, aside from just the weight content and everything, again, a little smaller than I'd like, but it fits right in your hand, and it is super whooshable. He's been whooshing all around the house all day. And it's a kind of a cool jet design, and the fact that it's based off of a real jet is neat. Because I thought this was maybe pulling a little bit from some of the Macross designs and being like a semi-realistic jet with a few sci-fi tweaks, and maybe that's what this crystal under here is. But for the most part, it's based off of an actual real jet, and that's even cooler. So yeah, just flying around. And I love the camo deco. I would love to see this. Like, this has a very VF, 31A, 1A, 25A, like the troop builder generic version of a Macross mech. And I like it. I really like the fact that it looks like, even the deco, it looks like a real world jet. And it has that kind of standard grunt trooper look to it. But I'd love to see this painted up in some more vibrant colors. I don't know if that would match the manga, but I'd love to see some more fantastical color schemes on it, because I bet it would look really good. There is a black and gold version that was apparently a lucky draw contest that looks really nice too. But yeah, so there's the jet mode. And again, a lot of fun to play with. Before we get to robot mode, we'll go ahead and show the stand. This piece right here comes out just on a slot, and then you just rotate it onto the other tab, put it right in, and then slide it forward to lock it. And you can see now this is it's gonna use the same slot, but that's gonna be in the back of robot mode. So that's how you get the stand ready. And we'll just go set that off to the side for the time being. Now the instructions are, there's a lot of rotate this 90 degrees, rotate this 110 degrees. And that's nice, and well and good. I can kind of eyeball 110. When you start getting into 130, obviously 180 I know. So it's kind of guesstimate, but sometimes the instructions, they'll show you like, oh, somewhere in here, move this piece. And I'm not entirely sure what part is being highlighted. And then the next frame of the instructions cuts to a different part, but doesn't show the whole thing. So I can't even get like, there's several instances where I can't even see in the next few photos in the instructions where that part ended up. Because sometimes in Transformers it'll say like transform this, and then in the next frame it'll be moving on to something else, but you can see where that other part ended up, and it's not so much the case with the instructions on this. I will say I only used the instructions once going from jet to robot mode, because once you know where everything goes, it's pretty I haven't needed to use the instructions again. It's pretty intuitive once you've done it that first time. The first time's a little tricky. So to start transforming it, the first thing you do is pop these two little panels up like that. Very simple. And then these panels right here on either side of the cockpit, they don't come all the way out yet. You just kind of wiggle them loose a little bit. And that will let you pop this whole piece. Oh, actually, no, before we do that, this piece right here comes loose underneath. Just this gray part up to the nose. You need to pull this out because it's pegged into these pieces right here. You see the little tabs here. And this whole die-cast piece comes up and around like that. Just get that out of the way. You can see that's where the landing gear hides in there. If you want to, you can kind of go ahead and fold this up because it's going to collapse up here like this in the final mode. But you want to leave, you're going to need this away from this piece to rotate some of these other pieces around later. So don't fold it all the way up yet. You can, you're just going to have to move it back out. But if this is too much and it starts getting in the way, you can fold it up a little bit to get it out of the way there. So from that up, and then this whole assembly, you want to pop, you want to leave these open like this, and then pop. It should just come. You need to get this out of the way, but it needs to come out of here. Oh wait, no, I'm not going far enough back. You wiggle these out, and then pull the whole cockpit. No, the whole thing. The whole thing. Ow. It should come, there we go. This whole bit comes out and flips forward, which lets you pull these all the way out. That piece does like to pop off. It's on a friction hinge. And I pulled on it too hard, but this piece just pops right back on here. So bring these out more like this and rotate them like that. Once you've got that done, you can come underneath here. And then these pieces start to rotate out. These are going to be the arms. You can see his head there as well. But bring these out and pop these pieces up like this. This whole assembly and that gray piece that popped off on that side should come up here. Come on, there we go, like that. And then here, this whole, open up these outer panels, and you can see where the fist is. You rotate that up and around, and this outer panel here will kind of rotate in and fill where the fist was, like that. And same over here. Rotate them around like that, and then you can go ahead and close those panels back up and rotate his fists. So the thumb goes inward because here's the elbow, here's the top of the arm, and then this panel rotates around on the arm. Actually, before you rotate it all the way around, bring it up like this, fold these panels out, then fold this inner arm in, fold that inner panel in, and then you can rotate this up. There is clearance there. They don't actually bump into each other, but you have to wait. They will bump into each other until you fold the arm down, and then you can fold these around and flatten them up against the arm. Like I said, that one I think just doesn't fit properly in its groove because it likes to pop off a lot. We'll bring that down around like that. You actually do want to bring these around this way so the vent's facing over the shoulder like that. And then this piece right here folds out to the side. So you've done that. And then pay attention to these slots right here. They're going to be important in a minute. And then on the cockpit here, these panels right here, you got to lift up. And these can be a little tricky the first time you do them too. Because then you lift, there you go, lift up like that and then come out and around. Once you get one out, the second one's usually not too difficult. Lift that up, fold it around, and then fold it all the way around the cockpit here. Because this is what's cool, this kind of gives them some neat robotic ab detail around the cockpit without doing much transformation there. Bring that in, fold the nose cone up into there, and then fold this whole thing around like this and into the abdomen there. This is going to come up and around, and this is where I said pay attention to these little slots here because you want to make sure the arms come up enough. They need to be flat because when you bring this down, there's two tabs here on the back of this that slide into there and lock this whole lock the shoulders into place and let the chest piece sit properly. So make sure those lock into place. Then you just fold that down against the chest like that, and then bring his head up, turn it around, and bring it up like that between the arms. And there, we've essentially got his upper body done. Let me stand. Oh, let's actually stand like that. Kind of got a little bit of a Jetstorm look going there, and you can actually get even more of a Jetstorm look going there. And then these pieces come down, like this whole assembly here on the foot comes down. And I actually probably should have done this earlier because loosening this whole panel up is what, yeah, I should have done that earlier because pulling this down is actually what frees that cockpit piece to flip forward. When I was having trouble with that, I should have pulled these feet down first and pulled this down. But anyway, fold these in. I'll lift the arms up. This piece is going to come up, and you're going to want, it's difficult because go ahead and pop that down and then pop these pieces out. Go ahead and flip these around like that. Because this piece has to, these are going to fold in against the arm, but you can see, or underneath the armpits, but you can see there's already this metal piece here from the shoulders that's locked into place. And you can see the little groove here. This whole piece is supposed to slide down, but it can be a little tricky to get it all to slide down first, and then you're still gonna lean it back just enough to get these to fold in before you can fold it all the way flat against the body here, because these should go under there. There you go. There we go. That should fit. It should fit almost right up against the edge of this. There is a space there, but you want to make sure that fits all the way flat up into these little die cast pieces in his shoulders. And then these little panels that we flipped over, flip on through. And some of the detail they put in making everything connect and hide a lot of the inner mechanical bits is really cool, because these panels come up and you can see the little tab right here that these are going to attach onto. Like they could have just left this as an extra piece on the back, but it flips around, connects to the chest plate, and makes it look like a more consolidated, coherent connection all the way around versus just having that as an open gap. Some really neat stuff going on. So bring that down, flip the wings around like that, and you can see this is going to fold down flat, and you can see where those two tabs are now going to peg in right back here on the back. Go ahead and flip these little side panels up. Go ahead and fold these straight pieces down to the side, and we'll get to the rest of this stuff momentarily. Lower body, rotate them around at the waist. Go ahead and flip this little crotch plate up here. And these panels, where the landing gear hid earlier, same transformation, but we're not going to get to the landing gear. But right here we are going to take these panels and fold them up on. Actually, we need to split these legs first and pull them down a little bit. There's a joint that lets them come down. You can see it's now exposed there, where before it was kind of pushed up against the body. But bring that down. They also are all connected, so you get a little bit of hip swivel there too. But make sure these come down, and then these little pieces come up. And again, just like before, instead of leaving this kind of open area exposed, which they could have easily just done. And if you don't want to deal with these, you can just leave them down here on the back of the. Well, actually, no, you kind of can't, because of you'll keep it locked in. But kind of folds up into here and covers those hips, which is cool. And then the legs, go ahead and bring these panels right here down, and then you can rotate his legs around at the thigh. Lift those back up a little bit, because down here, open up this panel, and then this whole assembly rotates the foot down and out and brings the thruster up into the back of the calf here. But we're not done yet, because you want to leave this open. I kind of pushed it there, because this piece rotates around. Nope, I'm wrong. It was already rotated around from where it was in jet mode. But you fold this in, and you can see there's a little tab in a slot in here that this tabs into. So fold this around like that, and then plug this into there, and then fold this fin back. And the whole tail assembly hides in there. I really like the thrusters on the back of the calf as a design for a flying mech, and just the way it accomplishes it. And then make sure this comes down like that. And same over here. Bring that down. Rotate the foot out and about. Pull out the toe. And then fold that in. And collapse that. Put the toe out. And then bring this back down over the shin. And again, and there he is mostly in robot mode. We've got a few little details left. Could have left all of this open and exposed, but there's a little clip right here, and there is actually just enough of a ridge here that you can get your fingernail on it. You flip this up, and there's actually even a little panel that comes up and fills in that knee gap. Like I said, just the level of detail, and even better, not just fills in that kneecap, but when you flip that up, the exposed clip, the piece as it naturally rotates, fills in that gap, so there's not even like a really obvious looking clip there. It just looks like a little bluish detail on the front of the knee, which is just some really, really top level design. And then back here, this comes down, and this folds up, sits against the back like that. And this is what I was talking about. Like if you have this all folded up when you're doing this part of it, it's really hard to get these pieces up and around. You want to make sure you've got the clearance here to come around this centerpiece to fold these hip covers up before you put that into place. And then the wings actually split. You can see there's all the hinges here. You want to bring them back a little bit and they split. And you can, officially they just kind of widen up like this. Just kind of, and they split like that. And you can have them displayed, you know, like that, where there are wings on the back, and that's it. But you really have a lot of your own personal options here. Like you can fold. I like to fold these back and kind of tilt them in a little bit so they form more of a kind of point behind his head, and fold these back a little bit. And I like to have the smaller wings stick out the most. It's a dynamic design, but you can also bring those up more. You can fold these down. Like they'll stick out straight out the back more. But you have them on these hinges, so you can fold them back as far as you want, and they're less visible from the front. So however you want him to look, you can give him some really dynamic looks with however you want to align the wings. And of course, his fingers, they're not individually posable fingers, but they have a joint here and a joint here, so they can open up like that. And then you can see there's a tab there in his hand that can hold the rifle in either hand. But you don't just kind of snap it in like this. It slides in over that tab, and you want to make sure, because of the shape of the gun and this little, you can see how the handle works. You want to make sure those fingers are folded in a little bit as you push it in, because what am I saying? You have these the single fingers out, but you want to make sure, because otherwise it's hard to get it to, it'll wrap around the handle like that. But otherwise, you can see you need to have them kind of folded up a little bit, or they'll bump up against this piece for him to hold it properly seated. And there he is. It's a really fantastic figure. The jet mode is fantastic. I'm saying fantastic a lot. The jet mode's really nice. I like it a lot. The robot mode's cool. It is kind of a generic mech, but I feel like I can't read the manga. It's not in a language I can read. But it feels like this could be like a mass production type fighter mech. It looks like some of the monsters they fight are cool, like organic Godzilla-y type monsters, which is also cool. But yeah, it's very nicely done. You can see the thruster on the back, the thrusters here on the calves. I like where everything ends up. I like all the attention they have given to, like having these pieces come up and tab in, and having, you know, these hip covers come up, having these knee covers flip up. Just the way, the thought they've given to how everything conceals itself in mech mode is really super cool, as well as having a fantastically designed jet mode. Posability, he's got the ball joint at the neck as well as the hinge that it transforms on, so you can get a lot of good up and down looks from the head. It's got dual hinge shoulders, much like a transformer, and all these panels will move out of the way for your posing options. It's got a bicep swivel. It's got dual hinge elbows, which is nice. It does have a wrist swivel, as well as a little up and down in the wrist due to the way it transforms. Those fingers we saw earlier. He does have a waist swivel, which is nice, and in a way that, like, if you leave this up, you can cause collisions, but like, look at that. I mean, there's just enough of a gap there in that wing that it's not colliding with any of the backpack pieces. Ratcheting hips in both directions. The covers move out of the way there again. A bicep swivel. Ratcheting dual, I think they're dual hinge knees. I'm pretty sure there's one here and one here, but yeah, there is. Yep. And very solid. He's got ankle tilt. He's got toe posability. He's got front to back foot movement as well, so you can have those kind of hang down. So yeah, just a really solid, posable, cool mech. Again, real quick size-wise, here he is with since we used Ramjet for thing, there he is. You know, so a little bigger than an Earthrise Seeker. And like I said, definitely much heftier in the hand because of, you see the elbows and hips are die cast, the knees are die cast, a lot of the joints inside there are die cast, this whole piece connecting This to the waist is die cast, and some stuff up in the shoulders. Just really nicely done, and a very solid feeling figure. Even the thin parts where you have to move a few things around, nothing feels fragile. Just really, really well designed. And of course the stand, as I mentioned, it comes back here. You do have to lift this up a little bit more for this mode, but it plugs in right back here on the bottom, and then you can fold that back down so it doesn't have to stick up as much as that. And you can have him hover on the display stand, although now he's out of frame. But yeah, like I said, a little on the expensive side for the size. Like I said, I think he's generally $210 at a lot of the online retailers, at least here in America. And I mean, I would like him to be a little larger, but at the same time, the level of design they've put into this guy, like having these little pieces come around to form this, so it's not just like a jet cockpit here, to give him some robotic detail on the sides here, and all and I know I've mentioned it several times, but just the posability, like these are on ball joints, you can get these out up here out of the way when he's moving around. It just feels fantastic in the hand. It's a very intriguing transformation, and I'm really glad I decided to check him out, because he's super fun, and I can see the value in it. I can feel the value in it in hand, because they didn't skimp on anything. Like, there's nothing like, oftentimes I'll find, I can find like, oh, this isn't perfect, this isn't great. On my copy, this piece pops off, and it could very well be me. It's designed to pop off. It's just a friction hit, and it could very well be that I'm just messing up, although it only happens on this side. I have not popped this one off. But yeah, just it's neat. It's not. I feel like I've been praising this thing for too long, and I'm going to get complaints about how overhyped I'm making this. But it really is a nicely designed, very thoughtfully designed mech. And my only real complaint is that it does feel slightly small for the price. But when you handle it, you can absolutely feel every penny of the quality in the figure. It really is nicely done. I'm super impressed with it, and he's probably going to be swooshing around with me for a good long while. Because, like I said, once you... It took a little longer transforming it on camera because I'm trying to explain everything, but honestly, once you know where everything goes, the first time can be a little frustrating because of, like, there are parts where the instructions are a little vague or unclear. But once you know where everything goes, I haven't used the instructions since, and it doesn't take nearly as long as it did on camera to transform them back and forth. And honestly, once you get him in one mode, either mode is fantastic and fun to play with. So, once you've got him in a mode, you're not going to feel like, oh man, I really want him back in jet. How long is this going to take? It doesn't take that long once you got it all down, and both configurations are fun to play with. Somebody has figured out a Gearwalk mode for it. I've seen some pictures of it on TFW. I haven't tried that yet. I'm not. Maybe I'll attempt that, but even without that, it's just really neat and really fun. There is LUMITENT CS-01 from technically from a TFC Toys, although Sci-Figure Industry appears to be the company name, the sub-company name they're going with. But really cool, from No Sky 2035, the LUMITENT. There's a helicopter coming out next, and they've teased some more jets. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing where this line goes. Also, got my COVID vaccine the other day. So on the 1 year anniversary of it being declared a pandemic. So in a couple of weeks, I got the one-shot Johnson & Johnson. Side effects were a little crazy. Now we're getting into... I haven't. It's been a while since I shot a review. Haven't talked to many people lately. So you're kind of bearing the brunt of me needing to socialize here tonight. But yeah, I had a day of some pretty rough side effects. But back to normal and feeling good, and I'm looking forward to. I've got some friends who have also been vaccinated, so in a couple of weeks, I'm going to actually get to see some friends again, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you all are all doing well. I hope all of you waiting on a vaccine can get it in short order. And like I said, I hope everybody's healthy and happy and safe. Continue to stay that way. And thanks for watching.